Welcome back to Ozarks Fox AM. We are so excited to welcome via Zoom Mr. Rawn James, who is a former Washington, D.C. district attorney and the author of The Truman Court, an upcoming book which takes an in-depth look at lasting legacies created by Missouri's only born president. The only president from Missouri.
Yes.
Welcome, Rawn James. So good to see you.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you very much for having me.
Well, we got to get to the first question is, okay, we're in Missouri. Yeah. We're proud of Missouri and our Missourians. What made you want to write this book about the only Missouri-born president?
Well, in researching my first book, Root and Branch, which came out 11 years ago, it explored the legal battle to end segregation. And I learned very much how the NAACP worked with the Department of Justice during Truman's administration to lead the legal fights to end segregation. And so that led to my second book, which was The Double V, How Wars, Protests, and Harry Truman Desegregated America's Military. So by the time I got to the third book, I really wanted to delve into a book exclusively about the Truman administration, about President Truman, and explore the least examined aspect of his presidency, which is the extraordinary effect he had on the judicial branch of our country.
Yes, so it's so interesting. Let's talk about that. How did he affect the high court?
He had the good luck to nominate 3 justices and a chief justice of the Supreme Court. And he nominated only his friends. Now, they were qualified for the jobs, and they were all confirmed by wide margins. But they believed the government should play the same role that he believed the government should play. And it helped him very much during his presidency. President Truman was the first president to do what we now expect all of our presidents to do, and that is to use the Department of Justice and to use the judiciary to advance his or her legislation in his or her agenda, not just defend it. Prior to President Truman, every American president had only used the judicial branch to defend their policies. Truman went on the offensive in the judicial branch with the Department of Justice.
That's fascinating. Did anything surprise you during research that jumped out at you? You're like, wow.
Yes, what surprised me were, I'd say the first thing that surprised me is President Truman, by the time he got to really his second nomination to the court, his second of 4, White House staffers would bring him lists of vetted candidates, et cetera, the same thing that happens today in our age, but he had a list in his mind. And he was not examining the list that was brought to him. He knew who he wanted on the court, and he knew who he wanted on the court, and he knew the court. He admired lawyers. He had studied law for a while, but his finances did not allow him to pursue his legal career. So it really was a matter of someone who wanted to be a lawyer early in his life, and then at the peak of his power was able to have a larger effect than any attorney possibly could have on the country.
I really don't know a lot about the history, I'll tell you, of our presidents and stuff. I'm going to ask you just, are you a fan of President Truman or not so much? Or I know it's interesting, any president but are you a fan of what he brought forth and his policies or no?
Yes, I am. He's truly a fascinating man and a fascinating president. As well. I began researching President Truman when I was 28 years old for my first book. I'm 44 years old now, so I've spent a whole bunch of time with the man, his letters, his family's letters, and all of that, and I'm still interested in learning more.
Rawn, thinking back, you always have a history view. Like us today look back on it a different way than people felt about him during the time.
Yeah.
At the time, was he a popular president? How did the American people feel about Truman?
He was popular in the beginning. He came in through very difficult circumstances as President Roosevelt passed away very early in April into his 4th term. And President Roosevelt was the only president millions of Americans had ever known. And suddenly there's the junior senator from Missouri who's your vice president, who is now your president. And President Truman used his first Supreme Court nomination to unite not just the country, but Congress as well. He nominated a Republican senator to the Supreme Court because he wanted to show that as a Democratic president, he wanted to bring in Republican voices into the judicial branch. And that was widely received as a political masterstroke. But by the end of his presidency, as many of us know, there was the brutal war in Korea. He had lived through the meat crisis of 1946. There had been a lot of tough things, slings and arrows. And so he left as a very unpopular president. But I think that the years have been, the years of examination have shown the tough decisions that he made have stood the test of time.
Wow.
Yeah, and you know, it is, like you said, he was lucky enough. The time that he came in, he had 3 nominations to fill for the Supreme Court. If it hadn't been that way, that could have changed the course of history as well.
Absolutely. A president has no control over whether or not he or she will get to nominate anyone to the court.
Right.
And we saw that our immediate past president was able to get 3 nominations to the court. Now, there's controversy about, you know, the timing of those nominations, but the president's job is to fill a vacancy.
Right.
So however that vacancy comes about, the president's duty is to nominate someone. And President Truman did it, and every president did it. If a president were, if a president is sitting and there's a vacancy on January 18th, and that president thinks that they can get someone through before 11:59 on January 20th, they're going to put someone in.
Right.
To that vacancy.
Yeah.
Ron, you are a fountain of knowledge.
Yes.
We love talking. You are welcome back anytime on our show. We love learning. If somebody wants to get your book, what's the best way? It comes out on June 7th?
Yeah, well, it's actually out now. You can get it anywhere where you buy books, online, in person, and my website is rawnjames.com, but you can buy the book anywhere where you buy books.
That's awesome.
I would love to read that book. Thank you, Rawn James, for joining us this morning, and happy Memorial Day weekend to you.
Thank you very much. I really enjoyed it. Thank you, Jeremy.
Okay.
Thank
Have
you.
a great day. Oh, that is so cool.
That's
isn't it?
fascinating.
All right, we'll be back with lots more. Stay right there.
Oh, I just learned a lot.
more.
I
I did
know.
too.
And I think that'd be a great gift for Missourians to give each other.
I agree.
Wow, I had no idea.